Hi everyone, it's Dr. Ramani. Welcome back to this YouTube channel on narcissism and narcissistic relationships. So, imagine that you are, or were, maybe you don't have to imagine it, but imagine you're in a narcissistic relationship that has broken up or you're taking a break, but it's ended at least for the foreseeable future. And let's just imagine it's broken up because of their bad behavior. And then, as it often does, at some point a hoover will begin. So you may be living your life, maybe even starting to enjoy the peace and quiet of not having to deal with them for a minute. There may have been some angry texts and messages from them for a while. They're dysregulated, it's what they do. Maybe they're angry that they are no longer in control. This may be more pronounced if you ended it, but even if they did, they just don't like having their supply be responsive. They're not thinking about you as a person, they're thinking about you as supply. Then one day you might say, those angry texts, the tone sort of changes, and they're sort of sending you a touch base text. How you doing? What are you up to? They may even send you a picture that you don't want. I don't even mean a sexual one, it just might even be a picture of a place or even themselves. They may say, hey, I saw someone that you both know. You may or may not respond. Of course, my hope is you don't, but you have to make a decision on what feels best. You don't respond. Then they may strike, just like a cobra, and they might start to say, hey, why don't we talk? Want to chat? Can we clear the air? And especially if it was one of those more toxic breakups, or one where you might have felt really unsettled by what happened in the relationship, or they betrayed you, then you may think, wait, what? You may stay silent. You may even say, no, thank you. You might even say something angry, like, are you out of your mind? Whatever you say, it's your right to do what you will. And then what happens? Weigh in if this has happened to you, that you've started having this hoover experience, where they're trying to reaching out, hey, do you want to get together? You want to talk it out? I'd be curious to see what has happened to you. My guess is more often than not, they will shame you. They might things like, oh, I guess you don't believe in growing as a person. Or, I thought you believed in forgiveness. I guess you aren't that good person you said you were. Or, looks like you don't even believe giving a person a chance to even talk with them after all we've been through. You've changed. Or, so much for you having all that empathy. Why, they'll text you, what? After all this time you don't even want closure? Yeah, that would be sort of really precious that they're lecturing you on empathy. When their hoover fails, when they feel like they're trying to reach out in a peaceful way to you, you have to be prepared for shaming, because it is their gambit. And especially if you are staying quiet and not engaging, well, they don't like that. They would rather get into a nasty and angry back and forth with you than have you go silent. And if you give a simple and clear response like, no thank you, to their booby-trapped olive branch with thorns, then you are painted as a monument to incivility and callousness. Now, obviously, this is gaslighting on one level. The things they are saying to you are not only not nice, they're not true. And it's also a bait, because at some level, they're trying to get a rise out of you. They want the response. It may be that they want you to give in and meet up with them. Maybe they want to start up again just to betray you again or leave you again. Maybe they want to just have control of the narrative. Or maybe they want to start it again so they can just end it on their terms. Whatever it is, any hoover is with their agenda in mind, with little regard with how this contact or this attempt to reconnect will impact you. What gets interesting is if other people start to shame you too, saying things like, oh, come on, you guys were together for a while. What harm could a conversation be? Or, oh, I bet if you forgive them, you'll feel so much better. I'm thinking, not so sure about that. Or someone will say, sometimes we have to be better or go higher when they go low, which is code for go talk to them. deal with the fallout, and have to go through the whole damned cycle again. Falling for a hoover is not going high, it's self-sabotage. So between their text telling you that you are cold and unempathic and unwilling to get closure because you won't talk to them, you desperately want closure, but you should know you can't get it. And others saying, oh no, go on, meet with them. What's the harm? What's the harm? Lots. Getting those trauma bonded pullbacks, doubting yourself again, questioning the days, the weeks, the months of healing, and practicing a boundary, having that ruptured, that's harmful to you. Being hoovered can be really challenging, especially after a betrayal laden breakup from a narcissistic person. It can raise a confusing mess of hope, anger, fear, confusion. And if it has been hard for you to not have contact, but you pushed yourself and had the discipline to protect yourself, and then this happens, even if you don't respond, you may stare at your phone for hours, ruminating about their motivations and their intentions and all the rest of it. That part is easy. It's a game. Domination, control. But for folks who are still struggling, it can be harder. Then you throw in there those accusations about things that are not true about you. It's messy and it feels awful. The hard work after a narcissistic breakup is you getting to know you, getting more clear on who you are, doing the work of individuation, and not having your moods and feelings and life be dictated by the whims of an unempathic and egocentric other. That's the work. And when these hoovers pop up and you are shamed and blamed, it can make this work harder. But please keep persisting. If you can resist, it can get you to the other side. And in most cases, after their hoovery text, you don't respond, they get bored, and they simply move on to new supply. Give it a shot, and thanks again.